Well, hey there, everybody. We'd like to invite you to visit South Dakota through the eyes of local Lou. She'll take you on a tour of lots of things to see and do. So enjoy your virtual visit through the eyes of local Lou.
Hi, guys, and welcome to the Local Loop podcast. This is going to be a fun one. I mean, I think they're all fun, but I am not impartial. I was going to say I'm impartial, but that is not accurate.
I didn't.
So today we are taking a trip to downtown Sioux Falls and also back in time. We are going to one of Sioux Falls' most iconic landmarks, the historic State Theater. If you've ever walked down Phillips Avenue and you look up at the gorgeous marquee, that glowing light, you know exactly what kind of magic this theater brings to our town. So grab some popcorn and we're going to start this story that starts 100 years ago. So picture this, Sioux Falls, 1926. Vaudeville is like a whole thing. It's so in. Jazz is hot. Movies don't talk yet. And right in the middle of all the excitement, the State Theater opens its doors. This ornate building was built by Henry Carlson Construction Company, and it was run by Moses Finkelstein and Isaac Rubin. The State Theater wasn't just another movie house, though, because there were a lot of those in downtown Sioux Falls. Now, this one really stood out from the beginning. It was a statement. It had really cool architecture, ornate details, and kind of a promise that we were going to be glamorous. Like Sioux Falls was going to be like a whole thing. So at first, again, vaudeville, and then silent movies start flickering on the screen and live performers are taking the stage. And the State Theater really early on cuts out its own little spot. Like, it is the place to be. Fast forward a couple decades and the State Theater, it's really in its prime. I mean, we're talking about people lining up around the block. We're talking about big premieres and all sorts of really cool things happening for the State Theater. Sioux Falls had its own little brush with Hollywood magic in 1956. That's when the state hosts the world premiere of The Last Hunt. Stuart Granger, Russ Tamblyn, Venetia, I don't know, Stevenson, all these stars on the big screen came right here to Sioux Falls. Imagine the buzz downtown that night. I'm sure it was really cool. That being said, I remember seeing articles about Bob Hope coming to town for a premiere of one of his movies, or maybe it wasn't a premiere, maybe it was just the opening of the movie in South Dakota. I should look up more information on that. Why am I talking about it? But I think that's really cool. I mean, Bob Hope, that's really awesome. And also makes me wonder if he played golf when he was in Sioux Falls. So now we're getting to like the 60s and the 70s. And honestly, this nostalgia hits real hard for people. It's really cool. A huge part of that is thanks to Cliff Knoll. He was the longtime general manager there that really just elevated the movie going experience. He wasn't just like running the theater, he was creating events and had a real showman's touch, the kind that makes you feel like the movie is transporting you to another world, which is cool. And so for decades, families were making memories under this marquee, and it was the place for first dates. And anyways, lots of people have memories of the State Theater during this time. And if you grew up in Sioux Falls back then, you definitely have a State Theater story tucked away somewhere in your brain. But like a lot of historic theaters across the country, it's about to hit some tough years. By 1990, multiplexes were everywhere, and the theater, it really had to close its doors. It didn't have a ton of options at the time. Their last movie that they show is Opportunity Knocks, and the building went up for sale for $150,000. For a moment, it felt like the story was going to end there, especially because in 1991, there is something just awful. The Hanson building next to the State Theater had a huge, devastating, massive fire. And that fire completely destroys the Hanson building and could have also taken the State Theater like super easily. But thanks to the courageous firefighters that went above and beyond and protected the State Theater, we still have it today. It definitely, if they had not have put in the extra effort to save the theater, well, we are going to visit this piece of history a little bit more in another episode. So I'll just leave it there. After the smoke clears in the early 90s, there was a handful of determined people that want to use this space again. They tried concerts and rentals and really anything to keep the building alive and give it like a new purpose. Because even though it was dusty, even though it had some smoke damage, even though it was kind of falling apart on the inside, there was still something there. This theater meant something to people. Then in 2001, at Sioux Falls, the Film Society moved in and gave the building a lifeline. They started with a new roof, which was a perfect place to start. That literally helps prevent the rest of the interior from degrading further. So good work, guys. Really smart. By 2005, a nonprofit is formed, and that's the Sioux Falls State Theater Company. And their mission was to restore this theater to its original glory, which is a huge, huge task. It's also when the real comeback begins. In 2012, after a successful community campaign, the lobby and main floor bathrooms are renovated, plans are drawn up, these dreams are getting bigger, they feel more attainable. The leadership kind of shifts and the momentum just keeps going. It's really good. Larger donations are starting to happen, which allows them to bring in people that are bring in professionals needed to raise those big dollars, the kind of dollars that reopen theaters. And suddenly the finish line, it wasn't a dream, it was a plan. And on December 11th of 2020, that's right, in the pandemic, after nearly 30 years of darkness, the State Theater reopens, showing the movie White Christmas. Which, by the way, is one of those movies that my dad and I can pretty much quote every scene. We are not fun to see this movie with. Don't do it. But the reopening was a really special night for everybody that was there. And if you weren't there, just imagine the lights, the music, the smell of popcorn, and all of this magic. So today, the State Theater, it's not just a building. And honestly, when we're kind of talking about this history, this brief summary of the history, you can tell it's not just a building. It's a reminder of what Sioux Falls can do if we care enough to fight for something. And it's just a story of like history and resilience and community and great photo ops because that marquee is just gorgeous. So the next time you are in downtown Sioux Falls, take a moment to look at the State Theater. You're not just seeing a theater, you're seeing nearly a century of stories saved by people that believed these stories were worth keeping. And now, joining me today is Allison Weiland, the executive director at the State Theater. Under her leadership, the theater has not only reopened its doors after nearly 30 years of darkness, but it's reclaimed its place in the cultural treasure chest of downtown Sioux Falls. Allison has been really instrumental in guiding the restoration with honoring the State Theater's past and really shaping its future, which is so cool. Today, we're going to explore the history, the heartbreak, the heroes, and the people behind the State Theater's remarkable journey. Okay, so Allison, I'm so excited to have you here being the executive director of the State Theater. You sit kind of at the crossroads of its history with so much having happened in the past 100 years.
Yeah.
I was going to say 10 years, but it's 100. And so you have so many different pieces of this puzzle at your disposal. The preservation piece, you have the fundraising piece, the operations piece. And so you also are in control, or hopefully, of the identity of the State Theater
Mhm.
from here on out. So I wanted to talk to you today about a billion different
Yeah, that's a lot of things.
but I kind of wanted to start with how did you end up here at the State
Yeah,
Theater?
that's a great question.
Mhm.
I have a theater major from
Okay.
SDSU,
Yeah.
and it was, great experience. And I feel like being a theater kid in South Dakota. Were you a theater kid? Were you a part
I
of
was, yes.
See? It leads you in all kinds
It
of
does.
directions. And I think you're used to making things work. Like I've said, you kind of become, a jack of all trades,
Yeah.
master of none. You're
Yeah.
doing a lot of things. You're making just things work and connect and grow. And when I kind of got into the corporate world, testing the
Yeah.
waters a little bit, I was like, this this isn't the community that I see myself in. I want to, do something that makes a difference, but also a passion of mine. But I mean, all of the experiences help me every day with what we're doing here, whether it's getting people for a like mission, everyone on the same page,
Yeah.
to, having a really weird film knowledge,
Yes.
all of these things really come to play here. We were living in Minneapolis. I was working for Mill Creek Entertainment, which
Oh, wow.
some of your,
Yes.
are you familiar with Mill Creek?
I am.
Of course you are.
That's
So they basically did those big movie packs, those
Mhm.
100 movie packs. Well,
Yes.
someone had to write the copy.
And that was you.
Yes. So
Oh,
don't
okay.
read too close. No, so you just kind of like tons of information, Western sci-fi. And so it really gave me kind of like just, firing them all into my head.
Right. That's a lot of different areas
Yes.
to be versed in enough to write that. It's interesting. So then how did you get to the State Theater from there?
So they were looking for someone to do fundraising and
Mhm.
development. And that was my role when I first started,
Yeah.
which actually was 9 years on April 1st.
Oh my
Can you
gosh.
believe it? I know. So yeah, they were like kind of looking just for someone to come and help with fundraising. Big gift given by John Swedeen and Holly Swedeen, who was president of the board. And basically it was like, we're going to bring someone in full time to work on this. And that's what these projects need.
Oh yeah.
I mean, your volunteers are fantastic,
Yeah.
but at that point, they can
Yeah.
only get you so far. You need someone who this is what they do
Mhm.
for for a living. So the rest is history. I
It
guess.
really is, though. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys are making history too. So I wanted to talk about, so let's go back to 1926. And I want to talk about the State Theater being such a cultural landmark in Sioux Falls. And I think it's interesting because it feels like it was kind of a landmark from day one. Like this building has always stood out. It's not
Yeah.
just standing out because it's 100 years old and still operating as a theater, although that's real cool.
Yeah,
Like back in 1926, it was also front page news.
absolutely. I mean, and it was a big deal to go out.
Yeah.
You think about movies being around forever, but even in 1926, they're relatively newer. Your silent films, they had a 8 person orchestra
That's so
when it opened, and of course the beautiful like grand Wurlitzer organ with all the different sound effects that really brought these silent films to life. It was an experience, and you kind of got to escape the realities of everyday life, which I feel like is a theme that we're still a
absolutely.
reason why we go to the movies.
Absolutely. 100%. Like
Yeah.
maybe the top reason why I'm going.
For sure.
Right, is to see somebody else's life for a little while.
Yeah.
So the 1930s and 40s, that's considered kind of like the golden era for the State Theater. I mean, outside of right now. What made it the place to see a movie in Sioux Falls? And the reason I asked that is because there were so many theaters in
Yeah,
downtown
there
Sioux
were.
Falls.
Yeah.
And yet this is the last movie theater standing. What differentiated it?
The programming I think was really important. The owners of the time, Reuben and Finkelstein, were out of
Yeah.
St. Paul, and they had, I think by the end of the 1920s, like 120 different movie palaces that they were operating.
That's great.
They knew what they were doing. They were able to get movies in from New York and California that many places in the Midwest weren't seeing. But I also think people dressed up. It was an experience. It was first dates. I mean, it was a time to go to the movies, and we're celebrating 100 years, and we're going back and looking at the decades each month,
Yes.
looking
Yeah.
at those movies from the 30s and and 50s. I mean, there's some bangers in
There are.
there. I mean, just why was going to the movie
No.
such an epic
Yeah.
experience? It's like the
This is why.
screen. Definitely the theater played a huge part in that.
Mhm.
So beautiful and ornate and different. Even with a lot of the other theaters in the area, this one really stood out just for its so elegant.
Yeah, and even for, Finkelstein and Rubin, like, it was elegant for them too,
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
this was a showstopper, this was a crown jewel, this was
Mhm.
a bigger, better than their normal. And
Yeah.
so interesting to see they picked the right spot for it. They picked the right
Yes.
little city. Like it needed
Mhm.
to be exactly where they put it.
I know. And it's crazy because, I mean, and I'm sure your listeners do too, is like this kind of end of Phillips Avenue
Mhm.
wasn't, as developed as the
Yeah.
other end. So this really was a landmark.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about Cliff Knoll.
Oh, yeah.
So, he's remembered with a lot of affection. There's tons of newspaper articles about him. And it's really just interesting to see how somebody that worked at the theater became like a part of some of these
Yeah.
people's lives, like people that are going often. He's like a piece of their experience.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about if you've had any like stories from people about interactions with him or just kind of what you've gleaned yourself from like looking into him at all and it's out for
Oh,
you.
for sure. And Cliff, I never got the chance to meet him, but I got to meet his family
Oh,
members who've
that's
given him
cool.
tours of the theater.
Oh, no
They've
way.
given us, and yeah, he was a master marketer. We come, and we see these newspaper articles and he would, cut out and make these ads, which is so cool and
That's
old
cute. I
school. I
love
love
it.
it. But I mean, he was business. He got the job done. He had his watch and tick, tick, tick. You had to be where
Mhm.
you were. And those are the stories I hear from a lot of the
Yeah.
people that worked here in the past. He'd stand up on the top of the balcony and make sure that, his employees weren't up there watching the movie.
Yeah, right.
You
It's
know?
tempting, actually.
It's
I feel
so
like
tempting.
that would be me. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, do.
Yes. And like it was, the candy girls, that's what they did. They
Yeah.
sold concessions and the ushers, they ushered and the doormen, they doormanned. And
Yes.
it was, that was your task and this is where you were allowed to go and you weren't. But at the same time, the structure was great. People loved their jobs here.
Yeah.
It's,
And they still do.
and they still do. Oh
They
God,
really do.
dude, man.
They do.
And but he was really good at kind of selling the experience. I've heard stories about, there was an Italian movie being done and he put tablecloths outside
Oh,
and he had
cute.
people serving grape juice
Oh,
in little fake wine cups and
yeah.
someone was playing accordion. And we came across like this little promotional thing. I can't remember the movie, but I want to say what might have been 13 Ghosts.
Okay.
And it was like a tic tac and a little thing, and it was like, take this if you were in for like really want to be freaked out by the
Oh my
movie.
gosh, that's cute.
I know. I don't think we could ever get away with
No,
something of that
no.
anymore.
Correct.
But just like that added experience, what is the State Theater going to do? How are they going to elevate it? And then just how beautiful he made the exterior of the building too with his, sign work. So definitely a legend.
Oh, I love it. That's
Mhm.
so interesting. And even just today, not a story about him, but just the State Theater, like I am wearing my State Theater
Mhm.
t-shirt. I went to an appointment and the nurse taking my blood pressure was like, the State Theater. I remember going there before it got renovated. I was like, okay, what movie did you see there? She goes, well, I wasn't from in town, so it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And we went and we saw Back to the Future. I was like, what a
Wow.
great movie to see there. I was like, so now that you've been back, I'm sure. And she's like, absolutely. And it's so beautiful. And they did such a good job. She goes, that is not what it looked like when I saw
Oh,
Back to the Future. So yeah, she was definitely blown away, which I think anybody that saw it before and has been back
Mm.
feels like that, where it's just like, wow,
Yes.
guys.
I know. Take it in. When you go back to those original colors and the way the building was supposed to be,
Yeah.
look, it
Mhm.
really is show stopping.
Ah, I love it. So do you have any in that same vein, just any anecdote that you've heard from somebody else about the State Theater, whether it be their first date or just some experience that they had here?
Yeah, a lot of what I wasn't ready for when we opened the doors
Yeah.
was the personal experiences and the connections to this theater. So it's a lot of people's first jobs or, a bad date, which is
Right.
great.
Yeah.
There was a lady who brought a little Bible and she was sitting in the balcony. And it was a really bad date. She brought her little Bible, right? And she had it. And she had lost it at some point
No.
during that evening. It turns out years later, someone called her and they had found it in here.
Stop.
I mean, like 20 years later, it was
Wow.
still floating around the theater.
Lodged in a seat somewhere.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Wow. Interesting.
Yes, she told me that. But I think the biggest thing, there was so many good memories and connection to people.
Yeah.
And just a period of time I think we're all nostalgic for too.
I agree. And I think, it's interesting in 2026, there's all that like people going analog.
Oh yeah,
And
for
it's
sure.
so exciting to see those things come back because there is something about going to a movie where you are kind of digitally detoxing for a minute
Yeah,
and actually experiencing something with strangers.
absolutely.
It's really
And,
cool.
I screen movies at home too. I
Mhm.
stream them.
Yeah.
I get it, but I remember the movies I went to a theater to see. I remember who I went with, what the weather was like before and after. Like these are memories.
Absolutely. So when the theater closed and was listed for sale, what was kind of the community sentiment at the time? I feel like people possibly didn't realize how close they were
Yeah.
to this place not existing anymore, whether it be as a theater or just as an anything, as an old building at all.
Parking lot,
Yeah.
name it. I mean, it's crazy. I keep on, people tell me we just didn't know what we had when they were tearing these buildings down. Many of the
Absolutely.
theaters, and you're seeing it. I mean,
Mhm.
the Top Hat, seriously,
Yes.
like you just don't realize the special
Yes.
place. You can't rebuild these memories. They don't build state theaters anymore.
No.
And I think we look at it differently. But back then, we had the multiplexes that were popping up. People were going to malls, single screen theaters, big buildings. They just weren't cutting it, that demand. But luckily, we were really able to save it. People have always had a connection to the theater. So they rallied and
Yeah.
they really kind of did make it a mission, but it was very, very close to being torn down or converted into apartments or businesses. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Did you ever go before?
No. So
Yeah.
I didn't go
Mhm.
before it closed. My aunt Stacy Newcomb
Oh,
was a
okay.
big part of helping save it. So I remember coming in and having a tour during that, kind of the unknown times. And you walk
Yeah.
in, you see the potential. If you're here, you feel it. But no, I didn't go to a movie before.
When you
Closed.
were seeing it then, did it have like any of the seating or anything?
No, the seating had
Yeah.
been taken out. Yeah.
So it's just this huge cavernous.
I know.
It must have really been a lot to take in.
Yeah, and there wasn't really electricity in there either. It was kind of just work lamps. And looking back at old pictures, it's kind of crazy to think how far we've gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to see it, which is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the early 90s, there's several individuals that come in and try to repurpose the theater. And it's one of those where we're just discussing about it almost being this and almost being that. And what do you think kept it from being lost during that time? Do you think it was just somebody's passion? Do you think it was somebody understanding its value?
Mhm.
Do you think it's luck of the draw?
Yeah.
It could kind of be a combination.
Yeah, I was saying, and it's so cheesy, but it does take,
It does.
honestly,
Yeah.
it takes your volunteers,
Yeah.
it takes your donors, it's your
Mhm.
visionaries, people to really put in the
Mhm.
effort for projects like these. There are many historic theaters that are waiting to be renewed and restored.
Yeah.
We are very, very lucky to have what we in the 90s. There was private individuals that took it over. The Film Society of Sioux
Yeah.
Falls had it for a while. It's just a very large project.
It's such a big
It's
project.
over 2,000 square feet. I mean,
Yeah.
the massive amount of the basement and the multiple floors and tunnel, and for the HVAC systems. I mean, all of these things, it's just huge.
Mhm.
But each one of those individuals played a part of saving the theater. A new roof was put on in the early 2000s, which saved it. Otherwise, there might have been unsavable.
That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that does show you how big the village needed
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
for this building. So, okay, once you're here, once you're a part of this project, what were the biggest challenges you think that the theater or possibly you had on this path to restoration?
Just getting it back into people's memories
Mhm.
or, we're here. We're
Yeah.
still alive. I
Yes.
mean, we had the marquee change,
Yeah.
and I think that was to give off, we're still doing this. We're
Yeah.
gonna get it open.
Mhm.
So it was kind of just, building that message and getting those advocates out in the public to bring it up in a dinner conversation,
Yeah. Yeah.
to get people in and look at First Fridays at the
Mhm.
space. There's people who live here their whole lives and have walked by it maybe every day and have never been in to see
Yes.
the potential.
It's
So it
wild.
was just really, letting people know
Mhm.
this is our mission. Um, when a building is closed for nearly 30 years,
Yeah,
it's
right. It's
hard.
hard because I mean, I remember peeking in. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people remember peeking in. And so it's hard to then put that to the behind times and be like, no, you can go in now.
Yeah.
Like you can buy a ticket, you can see a movie. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
And of course that transition happened during COVID. So
Yes.
you have like a lot of like extra obstacles with this.
We overcome them all. I
Mhm.
feel like we've gotten pretty tough
Mhm.
here.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, that was crazy to think about once we did have the funding.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, the city and T. Denny
Yes.
stepping up and
Right.
really giving us the money, and we
Mhm.
were ready to roll.
Yes.
We had been alive for so long, we
Yeah.
knew exactly which direction we wanted to
Mhm.
take. We knew what was gonna work, what
Mhm.
wasn't, and we were ready to go. I mean, I think it took around 9 months.
That's which is nothing really.
I know.
I mean, honestly,
It was just
yeah,
having that source there for funding and being able.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
And so once you start getting some of these projects completed, like the lobby, the restrooms, like the important first things that you're going to
Yeah.
see, right? So once those renovations happen and you have those first really visible, measurable changes, how do you think that shifted the momentum? Do you think that was kind of like, okay, we are like going up that roller coaster now, like
Yeah.
we are ready to go?
When they saved the building, let's put it
Mhm.
that way,
Yeah.
in 2005, a nonprofit was formed to save the building. The State Theater was put on the national, the Save America's Treasures, which
Okay.
is through the National Park
Yeah.
Service. And it was like, okay, now this will be protected.
Yeah.
Now you have so long of a time
Mhm.
frame to, turn it around. And that was huge.
That's exciting. Yeah.
And it was like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to preserve the
Mhm.
building and the history. And that brought a lot of people together. And then they were able to do the Chamber Appeals campaign
Mhm.
in 2011, 2012. Like over $2 million went in to getting the old systems out, new systems in, and to do the bathrooms and the concession.
Yeah.
Because there was hardly any bathrooms in here. Two little ones.
And the bathrooms that you guys have are gorgeous. They are. I always say, like,
Best bathroom in town.
the women's has such a great selfie point.
It
Like,
does. I know it's
the
kind of
trip
I have
to
so many selfies.
love it. Yeah, I just love
Yeah,
it. It's a
it's
great
good.
place.
Great lighting.
Yeah, and they're, like, tilted in a great way.
Mhm.
It's very, like,
Yeah.
flattering.
Oh, for sure.
Love a
Oh,
selfie.
good. I'm so glad I'm not the only one. That is
Yeah.
very reassuring.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's the fun stuff, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, let's talk about kind of some more difficult stuff
Mhm.
about the money, raising the money for this, and how convincing people of the value is part of that. Like, and that's a big part of your work, right?
Yeah.
Is securing funding that's going to number one keep these projects going because you have more
Mhm.
projects and it's every piece of this that you're able to keep going, it all bleeding together. So like
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about that process on your end about the
Yeah.
fundraising.
What strikes a chord with people is
Mhm.
what you really need to find. Is
Mhm.
it the movies? Is it historic preservation? Is it downtown? Is it economic development? And luckily, we have all of that. The building itself, there's not a lot of the historic theaters that take the time and, to bring it back to its original color scheme.
Right.
And the
Yeah.
whole it's expensive
Mhm.
to go back. You're looking at photos from that
Mhm.
are in black and white, so you have to really dig back and to find what the theater looked like. That's a huge investment. But we did have a vision
Yeah.
of what we wanted,
Mhm.
and we knew once we could get that out there, and make it really resonate with people, it's an easy story to sell in
Right.
a way, like you're a salesman.
Mhm.
And it was the history, but for a lot of people, it was, we want a movie theater downtown.
I know.
We want a movie theater with comfortable seats.
Yes.
We want to be able to go to Minerva's and walk
Mhm.
across the street
Yep.
for a movie on a whim. And it was really like, okay, we need something that's going to be open to the public, not a
Mhm.
private, wedding venue or anything like
Right.
that. It
Right.
needs to be cinema, and we need to do it well.
Mhm. I feel like I remember a story of you guys in the blue, the color blue, and how you guys were searching and searching for this
Yeah.
color because you wanted to have the original color.
Yeah, it is a cool
Yeah.
story. There's a very beautiful blue throughout the theater. It's
Mhm.
kind of that accent. It's like a painter's tape blue almost.
Mhm.
It's really pretty. And they just couldn't pinpoint it, the artist, but there was an old rag
Mhm.
in one of the organ chambers, kind of proscenium in the theater. And they found an old rag and it had specks of gold on it and a wipe of blue sitting there since its original construction in
I love it.
1926. And they were able to pinpoint that blue.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, I know it's really detective work
That's so cool.
throughout the whole theater.
Yeah, and just that kind of attention to detail is where it's at for me.
Yes.
Because I read The Divorce Colony by April White,
Oh, yeah.
and she came to town to promote the book, of course, since it takes place in Sioux Falls. And one of the things that her and I were talking about before one of her talks was that she had gone and read some of the papers of these women.
Mhm.
And so when she was talking about this woman getting off the train wearing this hat, it's because she had that hat. And it's like, yes, I'm here for that kind of stuff.
Detail for
Like,
sure.
it makes a difference.
It does.
Like whether I know it or not, it
Mhm.
does make a difference. And to speak to the whole idea of like being downtown, I still think the State Theater is a really cheap date. Like it's fantastic. Like
Yeah.
you can, whether you're going out by yourself or with other people, like you get a ticket for like $10, you get your popcorn, you get your drink, you
Yeah.
do all this stuff. And then when you're done, you're downtown. Like it's
Yes.
so perfect. Like I get my hair cut right over there. I get
Yeah.
my, there's just, you can bop all over and do all sorts of things. You can do some shopping, you can go out
Mhm.
to eat, you can go have drinks, and it's just the perfect, for me, location, kind of like starting or ending point of your nights.
Yeah.
Or in the middle of the afternoon too.
For sure.
So it's really cool, especially on a really hot day downtown.
Yeah.
Like come in here for a couple hours
Cool down for
and
sure.
then head back out. So, okay, I want to ask about the atmosphere here when you reopened.
Yeah.
Like what reopening night was like
Yeah.
for you, especially because you have been at the helm of this project and then to actually open the doors
Yeah.
to the public.
Hmm.
Tell me about that.
And we did mention that it was
Yeah.
COVID. And did have to open our doors, we followed so it was different.
Mhm.
Wasn't we were a little, of course, your opening night
Yes.
jitters anyway,
Yes.
but it
You're
was
always
like
worried.
the popcorn is the popcorn going to burn? We know how to sell tickets. Are people just going to
Right.
show up? How's the
Mhm.
traffic flow going to work? Like you envision all these
Yes.
things. And it was just magical. Of course, we opened with White Christmas, in that December season.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful out here with the marquee, going. And I think it was either opening night or the next night. I think it's opening night. Someone got engaged right outside the theater.
Stop.
Yeah. And I was like working in the box
Magic.
office. No, at that time I was right in there and I was like, I'm not meaning to
But
you
at
know,
the
no,
same
it
time,
felt so yeah, it was just really
that's
cool.
so cool.
So there was a vibe, absolutely, and it was
That's
people bringing
amazing.
their kids in, people of all ages.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just magical.
That's so
Mhm.
cool. So what surprised you about like the public's reaction once the doors were open?
Yeah, so many of them. I think it takes a minute
Mhm.
for it all to sink in,
Mhm.
but the grumpiest guy on the block will come in
Yeah.
doesn't say anything. He comes in and they get smiles on their
Yeah.
faces. They are so happy with the work that's been done and
Mhm.
that this vessel's been
Yeah.
saved. And they're coming in to see their favorite Steve McQueen
Yeah.
movie or whatever, like that we're bringing those kind
Yeah.
of films back too.
Mhm.
And they're getting to show their grandkids. Those are like the type of things that the State Theater is here to do.
I love it. So how do you balance, though, preserving the historic character of the theater, but you guys are also modern, comfortable, and technologically
Yeah.
advanced theater at the same time. Like, so how do you balance that?
Yeah, historic theaters are sometimes known for uncomfortable seats
Right. Yeah.
and terrible bathrooms.
Right.
So that's one thing we kind of have to erase from people's memory. And
Mhm.
it was really important that we did that
Yeah.
and blended in naturally. And
Mhm.
so we love to bring in like simply having the curtains open before
Yeah.
the movie
Yeah.
and those attention to details about that cinematic experience
Mhm.
is important. All the moving components that go into, showcasing these films and the atmosphere of the building really does shift with each movie.
It does.
Steven
You guys
is
do that. Yeah.
fantastic, and Luke
Mhm.
of really like setting the vibe with the
Mhm.
logos on the curtain before and the
The
different colors.
lighting.
And
Stop.
yeah, so I feel like it features a different, beautiful part of the theater each time you walk
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, the lighting and the music and the logo on the curtains, like all of that. It is just these tiny little layers of just this delicious presentation of a
Yeah.
movie. It's so great.
And we like to carry that forward too, with like the space we're in now and above. We removed the radiator upstairs. We found probably one of the original colors. I mean, who's painting behind the radiator?
Yeah.
So that's what we painted. And they're
Oh, that's
gorgeous.
great.
They're fitting,
Yeah.
it's fun to be able to have that history, the layers as a resource.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. So, what part of the restoration are you the most proud of? Is there something that's your baby, or it's just like, oh my gosh, like this was my baby?
The whole project is
Yeah,
just so wild,
yeah.
right? But there's little details that I think we had to make some decisions on.
Hmm.
And like downstairs, it's kind of silly. There's like this wood railing that is in like a chair rail, basically around the theater, and it's beautiful wood. And like we could have made the decision, let's just keep it painted. No one's going to
Hmm.
notice because adding wood to the rest is going to be whatever. But it's like it makes it look so rich, and with the chairs, that color to it just like ties
Yeah,
in.
that makes sense.
Well, so that's one, and then we just got one of the panels for on the second floor,
Yeah, those are so pretty.
completed.
Yeah.
Just one of them to see what that roadmap looks like, and I'm really happy with that turned out and really
That's
excited,
cool.
yeah, to move forward with that.
Oh, that's exciting.
Mhm.
So there's so much more to be.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So what role do you see the theater playing in the city's life over this next decade?
Yeah.
Because it's I think making its way. I think it's leaving a stamp. I think it's doing those things. But like, what do you see for the state theater?
We're 100 years
Yeah,
and it's wild, but I feel like we've never been more young.
yeah,
I think film is important. I think
yeah.
there's a community here in South Dakota that knows it's important. I'd
Mhm.
love to be able to be like just a resource for that. I was even just joking. I was like, if we're not going to teach people who Barbara Streisand is,
Yeah, right. Doing with this.
Steve, Robert Redford,
Yes.
like all these people,
Yes.
who is?
I know.
It is such an important
Yeah.
piece of history.
It is.
And pop culture.
It is.
Reference jokes from South Park. You need to know these old movies.
Kind of Sex in the City is a
Absolutely.
big reference to Barbara Streisand and Robert Redford.
Yes.
Your girl is wonderful, Hubble.
You-
I mean,
it's
you haven't seen
important.
the movie. What are you gonna do?
Yes. And like we long form media, we have to showcase it and we have
Yeah.
to present it in a way that people want to go see it.
Hmm.
We want to be known as being a great place to see it, and I think we are. And that's
Oh,
what I
yeah.
want to carry on into the future is
Yeah.
the same thing that they were doing in 1926, that state theater experience.
Yeah. Is there any part of the old state theater that doesn't exist now, something that you want to revive? Like, is there anything that they used to do where you're like, oh,
Yeah. Well, I think we can do this. We want to.
ugh.
But no, I hear so many memories about the kids. Used to get at school the yellow ticket and discount tickets.
Cute.
Do a lot teaching kids about movies and
Yeah.
animation. We show like Steamboat Willie, the Mickey Mouse, and kind of talk through how film works. They don't know what film is.
Mhm.
So it's really kind of giving that education. I'd love to be able to grow that portion of what we're
Yeah.
doing. There's so many parts, whether it's architecture, design, film history, Sioux Falls history.
Yeah.
There's so many
Yeah.
elements that can be really, really fun to talk about, to dig into.
Yes, that's awesome, and especially the film aspect. And then you guys just had somebody come in and play organ for a movie, and that was really cool.
Yes.
I felt like that was a really cool experience. I encouraged a coworker, I'm like, bring your kids
Yeah.
because I don't know the next time they're going to have this
Mhm.
opportunity. Now, update, she didn't bring them to that movie. She brought them to K-pop Demons. However,
Geez,
I mean, I get it.
man.
And they loved it.
Good.
They brought their blankets. They had a good time. They went twice.
Wow, I love it.
So they had a great time. But
Mhm.
I felt like that was a really unique experience. And also, again, being in 2026, even though I'm a grown up, like it did feel like we're in the olden times, like I had to really think about this movie that I was watching, like because I'm filling in blanks here. Like,
Mhm.
you see the story, you are hearing something that's telling you the story, but you're still filling in blanks with that story.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it was
And
really cool.
I think with like events like we do like that, when great opportunity for the artists that are
Mhm.
coming in and being able to present
Yeah.
this great craft of bringing in their organs and being able to
Yes.
play along
Yeah.
and having an audience for that. Those are really fun.
Mhm. So what is a story about the State Theater that you think more people should know?
Well, I was thinking about this question a
Yeah.
little bit, actually, maybe not all the other. This is a fun fact that I just learned recently that one of the major investors of the State Theater early on with Finkelstein and Rubin was William Ham of
Hmm.
Ham's Brewing in St. or
I love
something. There we go. That just is something that is so cool. I
That's
feel
really
like,
cool.
and he was a major investor to help them get
Yeah.
all those theaters around. I think that's a new fun fact.
So you can buy a beer here.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, that's really cool.
Mhm.
Like it was not in his time.
No,
That's so cool.
so that's cool.
Hmm.
That's probably my best fun fact.
That is
people
actually
should
a
know.
very fun
Yeah, I'm
fact.
thirsty.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So what do you hope future generations feel when they walk through these doors? Obviously, I want them to walk through these doors for decades and decades to come. So what are your thoughts and feelings about that, about the future?
I want them to make memories here as well. We think of memories as being something from our past, but they're
Mhm.
happening every night here.
Absolutely.
There are first dates. There are funny things that there. You're with this group. You saw with your grandma. You saw Sound of Music here, whatever. I want to keep that going. I want it to be a place where memories are made and people can really come and see movies and connect
Mhm.
with people. It's important.
Yeah.
That shared experience. We don't have a lot of places we can do that anymore.
No, and there's a lot of that talk about like a third space. And
Yeah.
I feel like you guys are a third space, definitely
Yeah.
for one group of people that I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But I feel like that it is the definition of that though, because it's community, it's a friendly space, comfortable,
Mhm.
inviting, fun, interesting, like it's all those things. So, like with your work here, like what do you see for the future of the State Fair? Like just what are things that you want?
Well, we're sitting in unfinished space. We need to bring the rest of the theater back to life.
Mhm.
We have a awesome balcony in the second
Yeah.
floor, but we really need to bring it together as a whole and
Yeah.
be able to offer the full venue experience.
Mhm.
We are working hard on pulling those details together, but it takes a lot of effort.
Oh, yeah.
And we're a small nonprofit.
Mhm.
I mean, we don't have a full development team. You're
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah, right.
It really, it's so true. It takes time, but we are getting close. And I'd love to see it completed State Theater for future generations.
Yes.
The time is now. We see how fast Sioux Falls is growing.
Yes.
And there's no reason why we can't.
I know.
No.
Interesting.
We yeah. We I can't remember if anyone has gotten close, but with us being open on Saturdays, it kind of gets to
It'd
be
be hard.
difficult.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother business model
It is.
too. That's for sure.
Are there any events? Well, you guys have a really big one coming up.
Yeah, we do
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
The Golden Gala, which is happening on the 18th.
Yeah.
Everyone's invited. Everyone's invited.
that's
So come. You have to buy a ticket,
Yeah.
but everyone's invited. It really is. We didn't get to celebrate when we opened in
I
2020.
know.
We didn't get to do anything.
Yeah. And this is the perfect year.
Yes, we had to
Yeah.
do it, but it's going to be a one and done.
Yeah.
This is a lot of work too.
Yeah.
So we're going to do it Go big, and it's going to be a great night. We get to show people kind of the other spaces that they normally don't get to see
Yeah.
when they come.
And you get to wear something fancy.
Yeah, for sure.
That too.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be a good time.
I mean, I don't know if it'll be better than one of Diane's birthdays, but what
It's
can we
hard to
do?
compete. She
Yeah.
knows how to party.
She does.
Yeah.
And I would say like that's another secret sauce here at the State Theater is obviously the staff and then the volunteers because you guys have some really dedicated volunteers
We
that
do.
have been here since the beginning. Yeah.
I know Diane, before we were even open, was, what can I do to help? What
And
can
she
I
means it.
Oh, I know.
Like,
She's
like
going up.
yeah, with a mop and bucket. Like
She's just she's unbelievable. We have some great volunteers, that have ties to the theater,
yeah.
that date me and like everything.
Yeah.
They feel something here. And we are a nonprofit. We depend on volunteers and people kind of chipping in. So it's so great that we have that core.
Yeah.
That being said, we're always looking for
Right.
ticket scanners.
Yeah.
So you can volunteer through our website if you're interested in getting involved. We'd love to have you.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm not good at it, but it's fun. Like,
Hey man, I'm not the best at it either, but it's all right.
People.
Yes, absolutely.
That
That's
I can
good.
do. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
hi, welcome to the theater.
I love it.
I remember one of the first times I scanned tickets, and I had only been here like twice, maybe. And somebody started asking me real in-depth questions about the
Oh,
history.
boy.
And I'm like, oh, I'm a volunteer. I'm ready for it now. But
Yes.
like, at that time, it was just like, I'm scared.
Yeah, you never know what they're gonna ask when they walk through the door. I had a lady was like, "What's the name of the hair salon that was next door?" And I was like, "Oh man, I don't know." But I sat with her and we were trying to look it up on my phone. She was persistent too. Yeah.
Wow. I think a lot about the fire
Mhm.
that happened next door
Mhm.
because the firefighters
Yes,
saved the State Theater.
he did.
These guys or these people, they had to put in extra effort for that.
Mm.
Are kind of the people that made it possible to even still have the State Theater because
They saved it.
yeah, because it did get smoke damage
Mhm.
and it would have definitely burnt or been irreparable.
Mhm.
But they spent tons of time and energy to make sure this
Yeah.
building didn't go. It's
Yeah,
so cool.
the building next door can
Mhm.
burn completely to the ground. I think it's 90. I mean, it was
Yes,
around the time the
it was.
theater actually closed. So
Yes.
there was a rumor going around, maybe
Mhm.
still is, that the theater closed because it was a fire trap. But that
Right.
wasn't the case
No.
by any means. It was just happened to be a
Yeah.
coincidence. But they did. They came in and saved it. And when we did those early tours when I first started, those open houses, those firefighters showed up. They were the ones who wanted to be. They were like,
Yeah.
they wanted to see the state it was in. And
Yes.
honestly, the building was in good shape. The bones were in such good shape
Awesome.
because of them.
That is
Yeah.
really cool. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's really, oh man, that
Mhm.
that's really beautiful. Like that's really cool. I'm so glad that they got to see it come back to life
Yeah.
and see that their hard work affected so many people because it always mattered, but like
Yeah.
to see that, wow, yeah, we did it.
That's a
And
scary fire too.
it was a
They're
huge
putting their, lives at
Mhm.
risk to save the state theater. To see
Mhm.
it to see it reopen now is
That's
amazing. Yeah.
amazing. Oh my gosh. Oh, so you've been here since
Mhm.
2017 and it is now 9 years later.
Yeah.
Like, did you imagine that you would be at this place? Like that doors would be open, you guys would be doing well, you guys are gonna have this huge gala. It's the 100-year anniversary.
Man,
What?
pinch me. It really is things the
Mhm.
right place at the right time. There was so much to do. And we were on a clock, when
Yeah.
you're surviving off of
Mhm.
donations and things like that, you are on a clock. So there was some
Absolutely.
urgency to it. So it's really remarkable that the stars aligned and we were able to get that vision across and to get it open, that the construction crews were available and XYZ, you name it, that it
Yeah.
all worked out. It's just fascinating. And we are so lucky. I'm so lucky. We're so lucky that it did work out that way. But I'm not going to lie. There were times when I was like, I bit off way more than I can chew.
Yeah.
Where do I start?
You're a very good chewer.
Ah, man. I mean, even like, what was the internet password to get when I first did, or what? There was like a bucket of keys, and it was like,
Oh.
I'm not sure how to get into this door. So I was like, I'm just going
Gotta
through buckets
go
of
through the
keys,
bucket.
and we got to see what opens what. Where's this
Like,
door lead?
yeah.
There's no how to open
Mm-mm.
a historic
Mm-mm.
movie theater.
No, and even if there was, like,
Yeah.
every building is just so different.
Yeah.
Like especially with an old building, if anyone's
Mhm.
lived in an old house before, it's like you find some random piece of wood. It's not random.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Keep it.
wait a second. Like,
Absolutely.
everybody stop what you're doing. Is this structural?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, for
there's all of these things that go with it. And I can't imagine something this scale and all the time and effort that you guys are putting in. So to kind of end on kind of something silly, is there a movie? Okay, maybe it's a two-parter.
Mhm.
So was there a movie that you just had to see on the big screen and you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, what was it?
Oh my gosh, it's so dorky. It's still the same time. So I love Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I just like grew up with it. It was my movie in college. I'm like, everyone sit down.
Funny.
We're watching this
Oh
rock
my gosh.
opera from the 70s, and we're going to
course.
have a great time. It's just like a
Yes.
hippie vibe. I
Yes.
mean, it's just, I love the director. I love the act. It's just so fun.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to see that, and I got to be able to bring my family. We sat in that back row,
That's
and
cool.
to hear it and to see all these details. I've never got to see it, on the big
Yeah.
screen. So it was really fun.
So now, has there been a movie that you haven't gotten to see?
That I haven't gotten to see.
Mhm.
I have a very weird sense of taste. You're going to see.
Fantastic.
But I love like Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I found out about myself is I love when the genres really mix. So like
Yes.
rock,
Yeah.
opera, historic
Right.
film,
Right.
whatever,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like musical horror,
Mhm.
whatever. I like those kind of cross genres, and that's when I would love. I want to see what people laugh at.
Yeah.
I want to see kind of what new people you think of the movie. So I think it's age 12. Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
That's awesome. I wonder, have you been to any of the late nights?
I've been work.
You have so many kids.
I know. Yeah.
I got my baby.
Yeah.
So that's
And
cool.
those are just like such great choices and such like a crazy experience.
It's so
It's
fun.
so fun.
Yeah. Yeah. They've definitely grown into like a whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah. So is there anything else that you want people to know, whether it be about like your work here or about the State Theater, or is there a plea of don't forget about us.
Yeah.
Make sure you come here. Like,
Yeah.
hang out here this summer. Like
For
there's so
sure.
much.
Always a great time here.
Yeah.
The affordable tickets. We're independent programming our stuff. Like it's really something we want to see the community support. We're not always sold out. I think people are always like, I can never get tickets.
Right.
But there's
Yeah. If there is something that you want to see
Mhm.
in the State Theaters and they're playing it,
yeah.
get your ticket.
Get your tickets ahead of time.
You can get
through
them
our website.
online.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
so easy. Like I have a membership, so
Mhm.
I not only do I get them online, I get them for a discount,
Yeah.
and I don't have to print them or do anything. Like I just show up, show them my phone, and then just head on in. So
Yeah.
it's
I
really
love that.
easy peasy, and again, I think it's really cost effective. Like your snacks and all that. You can get a ticket and snacks and everything for like $20. It's really nice. You can get a great selfie in the bathroom. So it's really
I
just
know.
a whole
Absolutely. And I always encourage people to come to what you don't know. There's a
Yes.
foreign film or, something from the 1930s. You're like, I don't know, just go.
Go.
Honestly,
Yeah.
you can always leave.
Yeah.
If you don't like, but
Mhm.
I think the programming side of it is so fun and being able to do such a diverse lineup each week. It's like, something you would never
Mhm.
normally go to.
Yeah, it's such a small investment to see.
Yeah,
You like
absolutely.
it. Oh, thank you so much, Allison. I
Oh,
really appreciate
thank
it.
you. This is great. Oh, for
It's so
sure.
fun to talk about it. And again, have this be a piece of the new history of the State Theater. Oh, so glad that you're at the helm.
Thank you. Thank
What an incredible journey the State Theater has taken. From its glamorous beginnings in 1926 to decades of memories to the long years of silence, and finally its triumphant return. And through it all, leaders like Allison Weiland have helped ensure that this building isn't just preserved, but truly alive again. Allison, thank you so much for sharing your insight, your passion, and the stories that keep the State Theater beating at the heart of Sioux Falls. And to everyone listening, if you haven't stepped inside this restored theater yet, you're missing a piece of living history. So I really encourage you to buy a ticket and go see a show at the State Theater. Now, there's tons more history here for us to discuss, and we are going to cover some more details, go further into the history, and we're also going to talk to more behind the scenes people that keep this place going. So definitely come back next time for that. But thank you so much for stopping by today, and catch you next time on the Local Lou podcast.
Through the eyes of local